Now, amid the Israeli strikes on Lebanon, Hezbollah is also firing rockets at Israel. Today, 2 people have been killed in the northern town of Kiryat Shimona. They are reported to be a man and a woman in their 40s. Well, let's speak to Irris Makler then in Jerusalem, who's covering developments for us from there. Irris, what can you tell us then about what is happening in northern Israel and in the south of Lebanon?
What we can see in northern Israel is barrages of rockets coming in from Hezbollah. They said that they would continue firing, and that is the case despite all the damage and the havoc that has been wreaked on that organization. Nevertheless, it has great capacity remaining, and it is using that capacity. So there were barrages of rockets into northern Israel. One of them was not intercepted by the Iron Dome. And 2 people who I understand to be paramedics, I just saw this as I was coming on air, they did not have time to get somewhere safe, and they went into a bomb shelter, a bus shelter that took a direct hit, and they died. There were other people who were injured as well. There are fires all over the north. So in addition to that, there was a stabbing in central Israel. And you're seeing, despite the fact that this war is going in, according to the Israeli military, well, in its terms, it hasn't stopped the attacks on the north of this country. One other important thing to say is a word about Israel's strategy. We don't hear much about the strategy from the politicians, but a security official speaking off the record last night said that now was not the time for a ceasefire because things are going well militarily. Israel will agree to a ceasefire only if Hezbollah moves back behind the Litani River. That was the old requirement after the 2006 war that was never enforced, and that also there would be the dismantling of all the tunnels that and other outposts, military outposts that Hezbollah has in South Lebanon. It's interesting to note that Israeli forces say that one of the things they found was a tunnel going from South Lebanon and dug 10 meters under Israeli territory. It's interesting for me because I interviewed people in the north of the country some years ago now who were always complaining that this was going on. They heard sounds of building, they heard sounds of digging, and their government didn't take them seriously. And now they see that it is possible that they were in fact right.
And Irris, look, diplomatically, there's quite a bit going on today as well. We're just hearing that a phone call between Benjamin Netanyahu and Joe Biden, their first conversation in something like 7 weeks, is just getting underway. Do we know what they'll be talking about today? And I wonder how important you think the conversation is.
I think the conversation is very important because if you go back less than 24 hours, Israel's defense minister was meant to go to Washington to discuss Iran, to discuss Israel's plans in Lebanon. And then he was grounded, to use the word of the Israeli media, by the prime minister. You know, that word we use about parents who want to stop their teenagers from doing things. And he was grounded because the prime minister said he wanted 2 conditions. His point man with Washington, the defense minister, was not to go until the American president, Joe Biden, actually spoke to Israel's prime minister, to Benjamin Netanyahu, and until they had a firmer idea, the security cabinet had agreed the plans for any Israeli retaliation in in Iran. So what we see now is condition 1 being met. I don't know when the security cabinet meets, but what we're hearing is that this quite embarrassing situation diplomatically and quite hard to comprehend, actually, other than in terms of the prime minister seeking to embarrass the defense minister, that this will go ahead. We're hearing from Jerusalem officers will go ahead in the coming days.